Sometimes we forget why we're here. It's easy to fall off track. These help us remember.
These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Growing up, I had a dream, something no one else could see. Tell me what it means when your faith is falling beneath your knees and you can't breathe. Everything you see reminds you of what you're not or something you won't be. You gotta take what you're given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians and choose to be an accountant because it's safe in a business. Not because they wanna do it, just because they heard it pays. And who the fuck wants to be poor knowing that's how we've been raised? Society is getting heavy, I can feel the weight. The pressure of success is like 100 million pounds of shame. And that's the reason I'm staying up late, trying to find a way to escape the stereotypes this day and age is making me feel like the only way I'll be happy is getting signed to a label and making money through rapping. I wanna share my emotion because this world is attacking the very principle of life that lets the people be happy. If you don't have a reason to breathe, why even live? These battle scars are impressions of everything that it is.
Don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Now, if I had a voice that reached 100 million people, I'd tell them there's a reason that we're all created equal. Cause some decide to be great and some decide a sequel to an average person's life is simply what they want to be. So you make your decision, all I know is what I'm given. Won't define the life I lead or the way I dwell in existence. I've seen a greater image on the walls of where I'm living, and the words twisted and scripted remind me of something written. Faith is a gift that is given down to the people. If one believes it, one receives it. It's given if it is needed. Don't ever think you're trapped in a life that you never wanted. Your options are infinite, that's some mathematical logic. I'm not saying I'm a prophet, I'm speaking for what it's worth. These lyrics define my prayers and these battle scars on my church. Not saying I'm a prophet, I'm speaking for what it's worth. These lyrics define my prayers, these battle scars on my church.
Don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Okay, and all right, how are we doing? I hope we're doing good. I am run ragged. I know I look like I've been run ragged because I have. And anyone who didn't watch the stream yesterday, the pink tint is not just because I like pink. Well, actually, it probably is just because I like pink. But I don't normally record in the daytime in here. But Mike and I do. I don't know. Maybe it's the time of year. But those curtains, Mike, I see you're here. Yeah, those curtains, we're going to have to do something. I like my pink curtains, but behind them, I think I'm going to need to put blackout curtains because this is very peachy. We're definitely... Wayne! So he's going to have to do that for me, and my money, my choice. Alrighty. And this is actually the shirt I was wearing in that article in the National Parliamentarian. So... good morning, everyone. We're going to try to keep this as short as possible, but I do want to answer questions. And I do got to lay a lot of the stage. But before we get to that, I'm going to do the brief grifting. I've got so much to do today that this can't be terribly long. But, you know, for me, that's... that can be anywhere from 15 minutes to 4 hours. But this one, hopefully, will be under an hour. Depends on questions and depends on how chatty I get. God, you know I hate when my necklaces are out of my shirt. Okay, I mean inside my shirt. All right. First, the grifting along there. I have everything that I needed to pay for my campaign, like the lit and all of that. Picking some stuff up today from Office Depot. But there's always needs for last minute supplies, things like that. If you want to contribute to a slush fund for the miscellaneous things that always come up, there's the Venmo for you. But as far as like all the major stuff, that's been completely paid. But I'm just offering the opportunity, because even like those little Office Depot runs and things can add up. And as you know, I'm unemployed right now, but did send out a bunch of applications this week. Alrighty. I need to lay some backdrop. First of all, I hope you guys can't hear that heater. I'm really cold down here. First of all, I find for some reason with our own party, it's almost like Christians. There's an expression amongst Christians. I said it in yesterday's show, but we tend to treat our own party this way too. And it is sin on everybody else looks like it needs judgment, and sin on yourself looks like it needs mercy. So just think of the things I bring up, the opinion we would have if this were the Democrats or Republicans. And if you would think differently if it were them than it being us, you need to check yourself, because you are doing another thing that's mentioned in the Bible, calling using unequal weights and measures, which, you know, you don't have to be religious. I think anyone knows when you use unequal weights and measures, that is unjust. That is not right. You know, an objective judge of facts doesn't change their judgment depending upon whether they like the people at the other end or not. Thank you, Michael Meehan. I truly appreciate the super chat for miscellaneous supplies. So, I need to lay some background and some things that your average delegate's just not going to know because they have a life. Them not knowing it is not an insult. It's actually an insult, not an insult, but like a dig on people like me who have no life, who like just watch this kind of crap. So when you're looking at, is there something funny going on? You can't be given a package and then pull out one thing and go, in isolation, this isn't so bad. And then pull out another thing. In isolation. No, you have to look at the whole picture. It's called, in law, the totality of the circumstances. Because I'm finding that's what people did with Tara's really inappropriate comment about how maybe you should seat her delegation because she got snowed in, as if that mattered. And yeah, that comment in isolation probably would just be somebody shooting their mouth off on social media and be quite innocent. But in context, it is at a minimum really sleazy. So when you look back over everything this LNC has done, starting with Joe Bishop Henchman, through removing me for whistleblowing about Joe Bishop Henchman and criticizing them about COVID, up through now, you have to look at the pattern and practice. We weren't talking about people who were saints to begin with. People who have been pretty good to begin with deserve a huge benefit of the doubt. People who have been crawling on their bellies like snakes do not. So, we're going to talk. Here's something else I need to explain. The way committees work in the party. There is a lot of committees that answer directly to the LNC. Those are the ones that are created by the LNC. Some of them are created as empowered committees, which means they do have independent decision making, like the Historical Preservation Committee, but the LNC can still step in and override it. Then there are committees that are created by the bylaws, and some of those for ethical reasons the LNC can't really interfere with, like the audit committee, because it's auditing us. But it wouldn't surprise me to see them do that too. Then you've got committees that are committees of the convention. Even though the LNC may appoint some members to these committees, which I want that practice to stop, the committees are not accountable to the LNC. They're accountable to the convention. The convention is their ultimate boss. And that's the Credentials Committee, the Platform Committee, and the Bylaws and Rules Committee. It's completely inappropriate for the LNC to insert themselves into these committees, particularly ones that can affect the outcome of the convention, which the LNC obviously has an interest in, because some of them are going to be rerunning, or their future aspirations in the party depend upon who will get elected. There's so much political entanglement there that the LNC has always had a policy of being hands-off in those things. In fact, to the point, I'm going to tell you how fastidious they were overly. Now, this wasn't the LNC, this was the the Convention Oversight Committee, which has a bunch of LNC members on it. But this is just our rules when it comes to convention. We're having a historical trivia contest at the opening reception. And I asked if I could host a portion of that. But I'm an LNC candidate, so that required a lot of scrutiny, because the party itself never wants to appear like it's giving FaceTime advantage to any candidate, because it would be seen as them interfering, salting the soup, putting their finger on the scales. However, that rule has always been, it's talking about the main stage in the convention hall, and as long as the person, and only that restriction only applies if the person is not giving a report. Like, you could be an LNC candidate and run for and be platform committee chair, and when you're up there, you're not giving a report on your own. You're not doing something on your own behalf. It's in a position you were already elected to. But you couldn't be an LNC candidate and go up and give a keynote speech or something like that. So this wasn't even on the main stage, and me giving a 15-minute quiz had to be approved. Even though I am chair of the historical committee, so arguably I'm doing something within the scope of another position I've been elected to. But I'm glad they looked at that closely. They should. I don't know if they'd do it if it was anyone other than me, though, to be honest with you, but whatever. We'll ignore that. So, knowing that overarching principle, that the LNC is not to even have the appearance of convention rigging. Let's call it what it is. That is why I've complained about the LNC list, which is party resources that you pay for being used to hector and pressure the Credentials Committee into making decisions that the LNC wants, such as in Delaware, such as in Massachusetts. And Richard Longstreth, using his official lp.org email address and under color of his title as at-large, but of course, Richard can do whatever he wants, including telling me and everyone who supports me to go F themselves. If you didn't know that, yeah. Somebody who's supposed to be representing you said that without repercussions. But, Joshua brings up how staff is interfering, and he gets censored within a week by Richard Longstreth's committee, or at least initiated by Richard. The hypocrisy is so outrageous. But anyway, so Richard Longstreth's been interfering in the Credentials Committee, and I thought that was bad enough. At least he did it pretty openly. I mean, using party resources, but we knew about it. I didn't need some informant to tell me about it. But he got nothing for saying that, by the way. Like, it was outrageous what he said. Using party resources. Because it was from his official email address. This wasn't something he said on his personal Facebook page, because even though, yeah, whatever, my position is LNC members can say pretty much whatever they want on their personal property. That's not our business. He was using his official party paid email to say that. You're paying for it. You are paying for Richard Longstreth to tell you to go F yourself. And I agree with you, Matthew Pickles. They are way too calm about Reno because they're planning shit in the background. Y'all planning shit, you'd be surprised at what I know, babies. Just telling you. Mama's got her ear to the ground, and I don't reveal everything I know. So, but this one, I needed to. Honestly, I think this right here, if she wasn't up to no good, you know, it's like the LNC gets really mad that I'm very suspicious of them. I'm like, then stop acting suspicious. Like, you can't, like, it's like Nick filming me in the back of PorkFest. If you don't want people to think you're a Fed, stop acting like a fucking Fed. Like, dashing from pole to pole with dark sunglasses on, filming me, like, in secret. Like, it's like, dude, I don't believe you're a Fed, but you couldn't look more like a Fed if you tried. Same thing with the LNC. Everything you're doing may be innocent. Stop acting freaking suspicious. Like that whole thing with the potential litigation. By the way, somebody had mentioned this earlier. No, I have on good authority that that potential litigation meeting was completely innocent. I'm going to guess it was about ballot access. I don't know that, but I've been assured it was completely innocent by a person I trust. But they couldn't have looked more suspicious if they tried. But no, we're the ones who are wrong for being suspicious when you're acting suspicious and you've already proven to be untrustworthy. So, what's going on now with Whitney? Whitney, as party chair, getting involved in credentials is even worse than Richard Longstreth. Because Longstreth's just at large. Whitney, no matter what you may think of her as a person, she's sitting in the chair. The position carries a lot of weight. And the chair of the Credentials Committee is an LNC member who also, you know, is under the direct authority of Whitney in another context. And it will be difficult for her to separate herself out. Susan is put in a very, very difficult position here. And Whitney should never have been doing this. But you don't as party chair. You don't. Nick was smart enough when he was chair. If he wanted dirty shit done, he got somebody else to do it. So, let's just, before we get to what prompted the show today, let's just do a little history here. Whitney was really upset over the Massachusetts decision with credentialing. So all of a sudden, she became really, really interested when she hadn't been before about the vacancy. And the Credentials Committee, all of a sudden, that became an issue when you figured out you didn't have the votes on credentialing to get your way. So you rush through, oh, we need to get someone else on there. Now, I don't know anything about the guy that they put in that position. So this isn't any comment on him. He's just a member. He's just a volunteer. No shade. But Whitney was awful eager to fill that spot, wasn't she? So, I'm just looking at comments. Yeah, Michael Meehan, perfectly. That's exactly it. That's exactly it. You acknowledge it and go, oh, yeah, okay, I'm sorry, that this looks suspicious to members. What's your suggestion for avoiding that in the future? Because no leadership should want to look suspicious to its members. Like, that's not a winning strategy. So Whitney rushed to fill this seat because she thought she's going to overturn the Massachusetts decision, and they're still trying to do that. The LNC is. What LPPA meeting? If you're talking about the state party, I don't know anything about the state party meeting. And thank you, Dave Davis, sending me some lunch money. I appreciate it. So then, when the ballot got started, okay, thank you, Mitch. I should put the comments on the screen because people aren't able to follow along without that. Sorry. One sec. Let me find that window. And what are they discussing in Pennsylvania? Are they discussing what Whitney is doing? Let me see here. Is this it? Widget? Widget. Here it is. Perfect. Okay, gotcha. Gotcha, Mitch. Thank you. Now everyone can see the comments. I don't know why I forgot to put that back up. And then when the ballot got started, it's typical. Okay, now remember, right before the ballot got started, Susan indicated that they were going to put this new person who nearly certainly was going to be elected. They were going to put him in a volunteer position because they needed the help, and they would just put him to work right away. It didn't require him being a full committee member. The only thing he got by being a full committee member is a vote. Now just remember that. So after this ballot got started, which is typical, that LNC members wait 7 days. A lot of people wait to the end to vote. They're allowed to. It's a bylaws right that they have. But Whitney started pressuring people to vote early because we need to get the credentials committee to work. Wait a minute. Susan had just said that this new person is already working. You mean you need to get another vote, Whitney? You couldn't be more transparent if you tried. It was shady. You've never gone and rushed votes like this on something that wasn't to cancel a meeting or something. And the reason you gave is demonstratively false. The only thing that the new volunteer had after the ballot was a vote. He was already working. Susan put him to work immediately. And then, contradicting herself, Susan starts hectoring people to vote and shaming them. Your foot dragging is keeping us from what was their foot dragging, also known as exercising their rights under the bylaws. What exactly was that preventing? Chair giving you some pressure, Susan? Now, normally in this story, I'm super, super sympathetic to the position Susan is in. It's not an easy one. But that comment was completely inappropriate and indecorous, Miss Hogarth. How dare you? Foot dragging, huh? Are you imputing motives on the official list, Ms. Hogarth? Anyway, that was a minor point. This is about Whitney. So she's already trying to influence the Credentials Committee when it comes to Massachusetts. Now, I do think that's inappropriate. However, and thank you for the super chat, Reno slot machine money. However, even though I do think that's inappropriate, because the LNC needs to stay out of credentials. That's just bad news. At least in the case of Massachusetts, Whitney could argue that it's her job to defend what she believes, even though I think she's wrong, is the rightful affiliate. Now, I think the LNC is identifying the wrong affiliate. That's what the appeal is all about. But at least there's plausible deniability there. I don't agree with it, but okay. She could say that on the Massachusetts one.
Objection, speculative.
But Pennsylvania, Why aren't you protecting Pennsylvania, Whitney, with the same zeal that you are protecting Massachusetts? Is that because you know their delegates are not going to vote the way you like? Or you think those delegates might not let you get away with being a total shit? Could that be it? Do you think it's a coincidence that the party chair is going after the delegation with the highest concentration of Mises delegates? Do you think that's, and not that, you know, we're going to bring something up. Don't let me forget. I need to bring up New Mexico. Because if she was so concerned about whether conventions were done properly, you'd think she'd also be bringing up New Mexico, who had an illegal convention, without question. But no, she doesn't seem so worried about her friend Chris Lucchini, does she? I mean, if we're going to start talking about illegal conventions, Whitney, where's your email about New Mexico, hon? You know about it because it was brought up in letters that were sent to the LNC. Differing weights and measures. Different ways you act depending upon whether it's people you like or people you don't like. It is so transparent. Stop trying to rig the frickin' convention. Are you that scared that you can't win on the merits? I'm going to get to that, Chuck. I was laying the backdrop. We're going to get to the facts now. Has there been an email or social media post by someone on the LNC about Pennsylvania? Okay. Now, we're going to get to exactly here to answer Chuck's question. As you guys know, I don't reveal my sources unless I have to, and the source agrees. At this point, I am not revealing my sources. But once I say what I'm going to say, Whitney will know I know. And I'm going to be reading from actual emails. Not going to show you on the screen, but I'm going to be reading from them. And you'll see, it's on the agenda for tonight. That's why I'm doing it early, so you know that I know. And I know that you know that I know, Ms. Billiou. So what happened is apparently the LNC and all of the at-larges, funny, not the regional representative for Pennsylvania, though. I find that really curious. So allegedly, all of the officers, one alleged officer, and all of the at-larges were sent an email by someone alleging that the Pennsylvania Convention was done improperly and broke state law by allowing out-of-state delegates to vote in their elections. This is an argument that was dealt with at the Pennsylvania Convention. It's an argument completely without merit, but it keeps getting dragged up. And if that's the case, if that were true, she pretty much is arguing for the complete dissolution of the Pennsylvania party, since they wouldn't have had a valid convention in about a decade. Is that what you want our party chair to be doing? I thought she was very strong on not interfering in the autonomy of affiliates. Isn't that the argument she's been making publicly? So, the LNC got this email. And the email didn't ask anything of credentials. This is what the email asked. 1 second. The beginning of the email, I would humbly ask the LNC to review, consider, and rule on, and then gives the information about the alleged problems in Pennsylvania. This was a request to the LNC. But she knew she couldn't, with a straight face, bring this to the LNC after all the posturing about how they couldn't do anything about Pennsylvania because it would be interfering in the autonomy of an affiliate. And this isn't even about a leadership dispute, which the Delaware decision from the JC, I don't care about the contrary one in Massachusetts. I can't help it if the JC can't make up its mind. I mean, no matter what decision you pick, starting to deal with their delegate selection that is definitely interfering by the LNC. Plus, looks like Whitney's trying to constructively disaffiliate Pennsylvania at this point. And the JC just said, 90-day window, nobody can do anything like that. All right, so they got an email. She can't help getting an email. I mean, we get all kinds of emails, at the LNC. But what does she do with this email? Does she discuss it at all on the LNC and ask them, hey, what should we do about this? No. She, probably without the knowledge of the rest of the LNC, forwards it to the Credentials Committee and asks them to take a look at it and do something about it if they felt it had merit. I mean, that was implied. Okay, if that's all she did, I wouldn't think that was right. She needs to stay out of it. But, people could differ on that. Really, what she should have done with that, if she felt that the LNC couldn't do anything, which they can't, she should have wrote the person back and said, you sent this to the LNC, but at this point in time, it's not appropriate for us to look at this. I suggest you write the Credentials Committee that here is their email address. And that should have been the extent of her involvement. But instead, she takes it upon herself to now become the advocate for this person, to the detriment of Pennsylvania. The party chair has done this. So she forwards the email to the Credentials Committee. So again, if that was all she did, okay, I think bad judgment, but you wouldn't be hearing about it from me. So after she forwards it, one second here. I have these emails here in backwards. So after she forwards it, she's pretty much told by Susan that the Credentials Committee has no interest. Joshua, you're going to want this info. This should be brought up on the LNC list. What Whitney is doing is I think it's dirty. So Susan responds and is basically told her the Credentials Committee doesn't really have an appetite to get into this issue. That's not an exact quote. I don't have a copy of that email. So, one second. So Whitney then pursues it. That should have just been it. But she's turned now into an advocate for whoever this member is that wrote the LNC, wanting to disenfranchise all of Pennsylvania's delegates. So here's Whitney, Ms. Hogarth. Remember, this is the fucking party chair. Are you saying that the Credentials Committee has reviewed the information presented, sees no issue with the PA delegation, and for that reason has no appetite for involvement? Okay. And Susan writes back. The writer asks, I would humbly ask the LNC to review, consider, and rule on. Do you want something in writing from the Credentials Committee? I'm not seeing a lot of appetite for any Credential Committee involvement in this matter. We could bring it up at our next meeting if you request, but again, the author asked the LNC itself to act. Actually, that came before Whitney's. I got him a little backwards. First, Susan wrote that. Then Whitney wrote what I just said. Are you saying the Credentials Committee? Whatever. Okay, so I had those two backwards because the way I have these screenshots is kind of weird. So so Susan says Credentials Committee doesn't have an appetite for this. Whitney's like, are you actually saying you looked at it and determined there's nothing? Like, Whitney, you sent it to the Credentials Committee. You should have dropped it at that point. You are not the advocate or to be unseating an entire delegation that maybe if you ran wouldn't vote for you because you haven't ruled out that you're running for chair. You don't see how dirty this is? So hold on. And then Susan responded, no, that's not what I'm saying. I was trying to clarify what you want from us. Do you want us to review the information and make a recommendation? If so, I can put it on the agenda for tomorrow's meeting. So expect it, and this was yesterday. So expect it on the agenda for tonight. That should answer Chuck's question. And then she writes back. This matter falls within the Credentials Committee purview, so I would hope they review. Why are you advocating for this, Whitney? You think that is at all freaking appropriate? And in this exchange, Whitney and everyone else was sent the refutation of the argument because there's no case here. None. But Whitney's continuing to pursue it, acting as if it's, oh, I'm just trying to make sure they hear this. No, you've taken this on as your personal thing now, Whitney. When you should have written the member back and told them to take it up with the Credentials Committee. It is completely inappropriate for the party chair to become the advocate to unseat an entire delegation when it's obvious that delegation would not vote the way that party chair likes. And this is rank interfering in the autonomy of an affiliate that you said you're not supposed to do, but you're doing it by proxy. You're pressuring the Credentials Committee to do it because you know you can't do it outright on the LNC. Remember, this is the same woman who said, I can see no reason to disaffiliate New Hampshire, but I can't bring myself to vote no. How would you like that if that was your state? Now, she wasn't chair then, but she was on the LNC. She was Region 7 rep. This is what we're dealing with. So you got the party chair behind the scenes, out of view of the general membership. Pressuring the Credentials Committee to make a decision on seating one of the largest state delegations because, and this is my conclusion, that it's because, obviously you can't prove motivations, you're not in someone's head, but I think it's pretty transparent, because they are the largest Mises Caucus delegation that doesn't have like an equal number of people who might not be Mises. I think California numerically has more Mises people, but they also got a ton of non-Mises. So going after them would not be politic, but going after Pennsylvania suits her interest. And you are correct, Michael. She's interfering in the autonomy of the affiliate by interfering in the Credentials Committee. Yeah, but you are correct. Oh, break the cycle. You wouldn't see him because these are emails to the Credentials Committee. She never bothered to tell the LNC about this. Did you get an email with this Pennsylvania evidence? Because she claimed it got sent to the at-larges. You're an at-large. Anyway, she should be asked about this publicly on the LNC list, why she's advocating to unseat an entire delegation, how that is at all frickin' appropriate for the party chair. And I know her and her little dogs too, you know, will come barking along. Barking, you know, Subversive with Justin O'Donnell, I do not have consent to share the emails. I'm looking at them. You can believe me or not. That's the way I look at it. If someone from the Credentials Committee wants to confirm that these are, in fact, emails they all saw, they can do so. But I'm not going to out my source. I'm not going to out my source who is revealing to me shady shit that's going on. Because I want to know about it and I want you guys to know about it. And if you choose not to believe me because I'm not going to reveal my source or show emails they gave me, that's up to you. At some point, if this needs to be proved at convention, this person will come forward themselves. The LNC can ask Whitney to produce the emails publicly on the LNC list. Joshua, Justin O'Donnell as a member would like to see these emails. If the party chair in her party role is sending out emails that don't fall under executive session, the LNC has every right to request that these emails be posted publicly. Pat, you can make that request. And then Justin O'Donnell can see them. Justin, you could write the LNC and ask what the party chair is doing, and can you see the emails that the party chair sent to the Credentials Committee? Any one of you out here are national members, you can write the LNC and ask. So now that we just showed the shady shit, I'm going to tell you my argument, and some parliamentarians disagree, though they haven't heard this part of my argument, and by some parliamentarians, I mean the one that's in my chat right now. I don't think the Credentials Committee, contrary to what Whitney just said, has the authority to review this. And we're going to look at that now. But it's a little bit of a different argument I made before. So, remember, the allegation is that Pennsylvania's, and it's a false allegation, by the way. Hector, it does make an argument about the delegates. That's the only thing the Credentials Committee is concerned with. And the argument is the delegates weren't elected properly, so they're not delegates. Like, otherwise, there's no sense here. It is an argument about the LPPA delegates. It's an argument to unseat every single one of them and seat nobody from Pennsylvania. That is the argument. All right. Let's presume, though it's false, but you know I like saying, taking their as true for the sake of argument. And by the way, again, if Whitney is so concerned about the legitimacy of delegates because of out-of-order conventions, Joshua, please be sure to bring this up. Why isn't she writing the Credentials Committee about the New Mexico Convention? The New Mexico Convention, per their constitution, was required to be posted on their website 30 days prior to the start of the convention. It wasn't. It was posted, it was supposed to be posted by February 3rd, and it was posted on February 11th after I called that out on my show. Why isn't she trying to unseat New Mexico's delegates? Why? She can't say, oh, it's because I only knew about this one. She knew about that one. Letters that I wrote about Pennsylvania had been forwarded to the LNC. Chris Lucchini knows too, obviously. They had an illegal convention in January too. But she's not concerned about that, is she? Why is she so concerned about Pennsylvania? And why didn't she ask the regional representatives about this rather than running to the credentials committee? Why didn't she loop in them? Why didn't she ask the chair of Pennsylvania about this? This is so inappropriate on so many levels. Okay, but now let's presume the letter writer had a case. Yep, Pennsylvania law prohibits out-of-state people from voting on delegates. It isn't true, but let's just pretend. Let's just pretend that's the case. Pennsylvania's own legal review committee already went over this at convention. God, this is so interfering in the autonomy of an affiliate. It's not even funny. This isn't a new issue. They went over it at the convention, but Whitney's trying to go over the heads of the own legal team of the affiliate. God, it's so gross. Okay. Where is, one second. We want to look at the national bylaws here a second. Is this it? I screenshotted it. All right, Article 10. All right, so let me pull this up. Oh, crap. Oh, right here. All right, we're going to look at national bylaws. All right. Let me see if I can expand that over me. So, here is the requirements to be a national delegate. It's Article 10, Section 2. It obviously says they're required to be members of either the affiliate party or the national party. Okay. And to be, okay. But what we're going to is item B here. Any federal or state law to the contrary notwithstanding. I know that's a very awkward sentence. It's legal speak. We need to amend the bylaws to have that in plain English. But in legal speak, what this is saying, we don't care if there's a federal or state law that says you can't do this. That's what that means. That little intro is making it clear that the conditions that follow are greater in superiority to the thing notwithstanding. So our own bylaws say, even if there's a federal or state law that says something different, even if delegates to a regular convention shall be selected by a method adopted by each affiliate, provided, however, that only members of the party as defined in these bylaws or members of the affiliate party as defined in the constitution or bylaws of such affiliate party shall be eligible to vote for the selection of delegates to a regular convention. That bylaw right there prohibits the Credentials Committee from even looking at this. Because the only argument is they violated state law. The national bylaws say we don't care if they violated state law. So even if it's true that they violated Pennsylvania law, that has absolutely nothing to do with credentialing at national. In fact, our bylaws say that. So that is my argument for why the Credentials Committee cannot even look at this without violating national bylaws. Because national bylaws explicitly... Okay, JJ, I convinced JJ. I told you I had a new argument. This case is a little different than Massachusetts. So, that argument about the law can be absolutely correct. And it doesn't matter. Because our bylaws are libertarian bylaws that basically say, fuck the state. This is how we're doing delegates. All right. Now, whoops, I didn't mean to turn that one off. I wanted to turn this off. Okay. Now, some people could argue, and we could pull up that national bylaw again if anyone needs to see how this doesn't apply. Some people may argue, yeah, but the Pennsylvania Constitution might say they need to obey all laws. And then, since it says the delegates have to be selected according to the affiliate party's governing documents, but I thought Whitney said that they're not allowed to look at that sort of thing, that's interfering in the autonomy of an affiliate. She can't have it both ways. It's a scandal, girls. Hold on, where's my scandal?
It's a scandal, girls.
So, but the Pennsylvania bylaws or Constitution don't say that. They don't. The only reference to law there, when it comes to, some of it has to do with candidates for public office, and the only other reference is in the delegate section, but it has nothing to do with what they're talking about. The delegates section says anyone who's a delegate at the Pennsylvania Convention has to be a registered parliamentarian, registered libertarian. It'd be funny. They all had to be registered parliamentarians in Pennsylvania unless prohibited by law. And that statement is in there to allow out-of-state delegates because their membership comprises at the time of the convention, it still comprises it, but now there's a whole other thing. You can't vote at convention anymore. But their membership comprises both in-state and out-of-state people. I was a member at the time. And I cannot register as libertarian in Pennsylvania because Pennsylvania law does not allow out-of-state people to register as voters in their state. That's the only reference, and it's not applicable to this situation. So, the argument by law is prohibited by our bylaws. The Credentials Committee needs to butt the hell out. Not saying that they're interested in, because from everything I could see, the Credentials Committee wants nothing to do with this. But even if they did, this is violating the bylaws. You can't. Now, convention delegates on the floor can challenge whatever they want. And that's where it belongs. If those people really think they have a case, I love to see them get up in front of delegates at convention and say, we need to obey the state. Lick that boot harder. So this one, Whitney, you don't even know our own bylaws. And you're interfering in the autonomy of an affiliate. Because guess what? Affiliates are allowed to break the law. And if the LNC finds that so offensive, well, the new LNC can move to disaffiliate Pennsylvania. That's the only option they have. Now, obviously, they're not. But that's the only recourse the LNC has. Because affiliates are allowed to break the law. Yeah, well, also, Chuck, I was trying to apply it to this situation. Yes, it does apply to other things, and it would also apply to felons who had their voting rights taken away. But I was shortening things here, so it's not to bore everyone to death with how it applied here. So, and where this differs from Massachusetts too, by the way, there were two competing lists of delegates in Massachusetts, and the Credentials Committee is forced at that point to make a decision. This is not what's going on with Pennsylvania. Kenneth asks about, what about the Super Region 7 effort? That we're probably going to talk about in another show, because Whitney is engineering that as well. And either on purpose or by mistake misled her executive committee. So, yeah, they're not just trying to form a super region. They're trying to form a super region. Holy gerrymandering Batman. Like, how fucking hypocritical can we be? It's my hope this breaks the entire regional system, which I've been opposed to for a while now. And delegates will see how it can be gamed for political purposes, not for the best interests of the states or their representation. Let's go see Joshua's email. Let me go to my email box here. Credentials trouble. And Pat Ford, delegate dispute. Okay. Let me bring up here. And I'm sure I'm going to get, Whitney's going to dance around. And the usual suspects are going to jump to her defense, and and they will they'll all trash me, I'm sure too. It has been brought to my attention that there has been a challenge sent to some members of this board about the LPPA delegates and their convention being illegitimate. It is being said that it was sent to all of the LNC at-large representatives. I want to be clear that I have not gotten this challenge in my email and request that a copy be sent to me and made public on this list. Further, I want to know why the chair of this board is quietly, out of the view of our membership, pressuring the Credentials Committee to take this issue up, despite the LPPA legal item having already been taken this issue up at the LPPA convention and deeming their convention legal at the time. I'd like also to move and need co-sponsors for that all correspondence from our chair on this matter between members and the Credentials Committee and its members be released to this list for us and our members to see. On my final note, Madam Chair, I'd like to know why there would be any pressure from you at all on the Credentials Committee to take up this issue, but you've been absolutely quiet about New Mexico holding a convention without proper notice, completely outside their own bylaws. This is a gross overstep, but not a shocking one. Joshua, here's the mic. You nailed it. Now you know they're going to dance, and you know the attack dogs are going to come in. Oh my God. This is just coincidence, but I get Move On's emails just because I like to know what the far left is doing. I also get Trump's emails, because I want to know what the Trumpers are doing. Right after I read this, an email came in with the title from Move On, "Something terrifying just happened in Pennsylvania." What kind of coincidence is this? Oh my God, that is so weird. I'm going to show you guys this. I got to show you this screen. You're going to laugh your ass off. 1 second. That is such a weird coincidence. Let me share my screen here. Okay, let me take this off screen for a second. So you can see, I just read Joshua's email. It came in at 10:51. At 10:56, January 6th insurrection. Something terrifying just happened in Pennsylvania. And you could see, I can't pull it up here. It is from Move On, though. When I pulled it up, I'm like, what the hell? Okay, that is hilarious. That is hilarious. Something terrifying did just happen in Pennsylvania. Okay, let's read Pat Ford's. I have become aware that back-channel communication exists regarding the standing of the Libertarian Party of Pennsylvania delegation for the upcoming national convention. As a board member, I continue to be frustrated by having to rely upon rumor and gossip for information regarding the affairs of the Libertarian National Committee. All righty. Yeah, Joshua had the better email, Pat. But this is good. This is good. It's good tag teaming. Listen, we're going to read Joshua's once again because I don't want anyone to forget what the issues are here. You should have ended it with "be well," though, Joshua. You might get censored for this. How dare you question? It has been brought to my attention. Pat, you're the rep now. Will you co-sponsor Joshua's motion for those emails to be made public? Members want to see them. It has been brought to my attention that there has been a challenge sent to some members of this board about the LPPA delegates. And we're just going to say Pennsylvania from here because LPPA just like is like, are you down with OPP? Yeah, you know me. Okay, about the Pennsylvania delegates and their convention being illegitimate. It is being said, and now Lucchini's going to argue that his convention wasn't illegal, and it was. And their convention being illegitimate. It is being said that it was sent to all of the LNC at-large representatives. I want to be clear that I have not gotten this challenge in my email and requested a copy be sent to me and made public on this list. Further, I would like to know why the chair of this board is quietly out of the view of our membership, pressuring the Credentials Committee to take this issue up, despite the Pennsylvania legal team having already taken it up at the Pennsylvania Convention and deeming their convention legal at the time. I'd also like to move and need co-sponsors for that all correspondence from our chair on this matter between members and the Credentials Committee and its members be released to this list for us and our members to see. On my final note, Madam Chair, I'd like to know why there would be any pressure at all from you on the Credentials Committee to take up this issue, but you've been absolutely quiet about New Mexico holding a convention without proper notice, completely outside their own bylaws. This is a gross overstep, but not a shocking one. So hopefully I didn't disappoint with the goods I brought. This is just everything I've been seeing is just, and the reason I titled in the thumbnail this way, it is so reminiscent of what the Republicans did to Ron Paul. This is like the 2008 Republican Convention. That's the way they're acting. And every one of you there who might be going, you know damn well that if this were any other party but ours, we would be laughing about how corrupt the system is. I thought it was 2008. Did I fuck that up? Get the year wrong? I'll modify my thumbnail. Thank you, Robert. I'm not good with years. I can't tell you what year I got married. Is that correct? Is it 2012? Because I'll correct my thumbnail if that's the case. Because I always fuck this shit up. I should have Googled it. I was relying on my memory. Okay, I'll fix that. My bad. My bad. I should have Googled it. I knew I should have Googled it. By the way, in my defense, I did that at 3 o'clock in the morning. Okay? But I'll correct that immediately. Because that makes me look like a dumbass, but it's... okay. And we all know I'm a smart ass and not a dumbass. Oh, God. All right, everyone. Just closing with, there's my Venmo. It helps me with miscellaneous campaign expenses for Reno. You know, supplies you gotta do and all that kind of stuff. You just never know. Or a margarita or two, because I've earned it. Alrighty, everyone. I am going to go now. I've got a lot to do. Got to get the historical table ready for convention. Flying out in a couple days. I got to dye my hair because it looks like shit. I've got to pack. So I look forward to seeing you all there. And yeah, now you know the dirty, corrupt shit that's going on. Wish I didn't have to expose this, but if it's happening, you deserve to know.
Gotta take what you're given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians and choose to be an accountant because it's safe in a